Today we have a really interesting topic for you guys. It has to do something with the greatest obsession of humans. And now what do you think? There are multiple obsessions that humans have. One could be happiness, probably money, or even love. But according to us, it's neither of them. It's health. It's one's own well-being. And to be more specific, it is to do with one increasing their own lifespan. So today we're going to talk about death. It might seem funny, but our topic today is cryostasis. Most of you might not understand what this word means, but cryostasis is the process of preserving cells, tissues, and even entire body organs in extremely low temperatures, normally below minus 130 degrees Celsius, in hopes that they might revive in the future. You might understand this process from famous movies like Interstellar or even Captain America. I can't promise you that you're going to cook Captain America one day, but what I can tell you is more about cryostasis. Cryostasis. What are we preserve in cryostasis? You can preserve sperms, eggs, embryos, stem cells, blood, etc. How is it done? These samples are cooled in low temperature in liquid nitrogen with cryoprotectants. Cryoprotectants are things that prevent the formation of ice on this body parts, most probably, and is normally frozen in very low temperatures, like I said, from 130 degrees Celsius, minus 130 degrees Celsius, to about minus 200 degrees Celsius. Yes, 200 degrees Celsius. There are multiple uses. We have IVF, we have blood banking, we have organ transplant research as well. Now let's talk about a subsection of cryostasis, cryonics. Cryonics is the focus of preserving or freezing in very low temperatures entire human bodies and body parts in hopes that they come in the future and the future technology can either cure the cause of their death or revive the person without any damage. Now that you have a rough understanding of what this so-called fictional market might be, my teammate Simone is going to come and talk about the actual market existing in the world.
Okay, so now let's look at the market of the cryonics industry. Starting off with the market size and demand, this market is extremely niche and the customers are in hundreds. But with the advances in biotechnology and AI, this market is expected to grow way bigger. The pet cryopreservation market is growing constantly. So the cost to preserve one pet takes around $25,000 to $50,000. This shows the extent people can go for their own loved ones. Moving on to the revenue model, we've got an upfront preservation fees ranging from $80,000 to $200,000. Now, if a person wants to preserve their brain, they have to pay a minimum of $80,000. But if they want to preserve their whole body, they have to pay an amount of $200,000 or even more. Then there's a thing called membership fees. This is for people who have signed up in advance for this process but haven't preserved their bodies yet. That membership fee is around $5 per month. Most of the people pay their cryopreservation fees with the help of their insurance policies. Since this is an endless process, this requires the company to stay solvent for as long as possible so that they don't fall into big problems. Now, moving on to the cost structure of this industry. To preserve a person, it takes about 500 to 800 liters of liquid nitrogen. If you look at it in tons, it's 0.8 tons of liquid nitrogen. Now, if you do the math, it comes up to $145 to $560 per person. Next, costs also go for the emergency response teams. These teams exist to prepare and preserve the bodies right after death. Lastly, a chunk of costs go for the research and development aspect. This is done to get better and more advanced revival or preservation methods. Lastly, this industry looks at the customers who are wealthy, who are tech savvy, and who are open-minded, especially in the science field. They also look at customers who are emotionally motivated legacy seekers. For example, people who don't want to die too soon or who want to meet their great grandchildren or who want to provide more for the world. They also look at customers who are open to take high risks, especially when there's no guaranteed return. Such customers are deeply invested and believe in the potential of science and technology. These customers are also known as the early adopters. Now that we looked at the market, let's look at this infographic that shows us the players globally, right from USA to Australia. Now here we have two main big companies, Alcor situated in Arizona, USA, and Cryoras situated in Russia. While Cryoras is an international focus and is comparatively affordable, Alcor is the big main company as it's mostly well known. This company has already preserved 500 people as of 2024 and have more than 1,400 people who have signed up in advance for this process. So this company is very advanced and medically rigorous and has an amazing infrastructure and one of the best global response readiness amongst the other companies. This is why Alcor is the most leading company across the globe. So now we've looked at the definitions, what the industry is about, the market, and the key players. Every industry do have their own challenges. So now let's look at the challenges of this industry.
Now let's take a look at the key challenges that involve in this domain. First, the process of freezing. It can cause tissue and brain damage. Ice crystals formed during freezing can destroy cells, leading to harm that cannot be reversed. Second, the approach demands lifelong financial stability, maintaining cryopreserved bodies over decades or centuries. It involves high cost of storage, monitoring, and facility maintenance. Third, to date, there has been no successful revival of human from cryopreservation. This means the procedure is still purely speculative, with no guaranteed outcome. And finally, there is a serious legal and ethical issue. This includes consent, ownership, and preserved body, and the future legal status, all of which remain largely unregulated and undefined. Now we shall talk about some unique facts. First up, over more than 120 million has already been paid by the people waiting for a second chance of the life through cryopreservation. Next, meet the legend. Dr. James Bedford was the first human ever cryopreservation back in 1967. Yes, he's still frozen today. But not everything goes smoothly. In one case, cryopreservation was delayed by 6 days because of a legal battle over the body. Timing is critical in cryonics. So delays like it can be huge problem. And there is a twist. Neurosuspension, which is just freezing the brain or a head. It's actually more common than full body freezing, and it's cheaper and focus on what really matters, the brain. Cryonics, it's just scientific. It happens at more real and stranger than you think.
Now that we have finished our overload of our information, we come to think of stuff like what if great minds like Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein were frozen in time? You would never know what the future might be. But as a cynic myself, I come to think of stuff like what if Hitler were frozen in time? Well, I guess you'll never know. So we'll see you in 100 years.